have to record an intro. We left off on a really weird spot. So, oh God. Okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Words About Books, a highly anticipated episode of Words About Books, part 3 of what has become a series on Leviathan Wakes. And now, when last we left our heroes, I think I ended it with a skit where Miller shoots Holden in the face. Now, that was a little bit of fan fiction on my part. That was a little bit of wishful thinking. Holden is still very much alive. Miller is still very much in love with him for some reason I don't fully understand. And they are on their way to the Scopuli, Julie Mao's original ship. We're going to pick up the story there. And I guess I just wanted to say real quick, before we get into it, some of the feedback I've been getting about these episodes are, they're funny, but like, wow, you guys really didn't like the book. And it's like, no, I actually do really like the book. I think The Expanse is well researched. Really some of my favorite sci-fi that I've read in recent years. Unfortunately, I just really hate Holden. And I think I focused on that way too much in these episodes. So this is my little editor's note that I'm sure is like small consolation to the authors if they ever if they ever hear this episode. But I genuinely love the book. One of my favorite things I've read in recent years. But Holden, my God, I think I will never stop doing skits where he gets shot in the face for as long as he's in these books. So there's that. So on their way to the Scopuli, and while they are en route, they make an important discovery.
But while they're en route, I guess they decrypted that data cube, and Holden's like, "Oh my God, these are the drives of those ships that blew up the Donager. We gotta tell everyone that those are Earth drives, Ben!" I mean, Miller? Boop, 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 boop,
You already
boop. I've
pushed
already
the button,
broadcast
didn't
it.
you?
You can't stop me.
How fucking dumb are you? Additional editor's note. I'm not bleeping the F word anymore because I keep missing them, and Nate thinks it's funny to try to work it in there as many times as he possibly can. So I'm done with it. I'm done with that bit. You're just going to hear the F word from now on. So don't play Words About Books in an elementary school in lieu of reading to the children anymore. That period of time is over. I'm going back to the future. You know damn well it's not better.
Look, Miller. These guys, they operate in secrecy. We're destroying that by unmasking them, and
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. They're still operating in secrecy. You idiot.
But how could they be operating in secrecy if I just unmasked them?
Because it's almost certainly, like, just because a ship is built
Here's
on
the thing.
Earth.
Here's the thing. Okay, Miller, I see where you're going with this logic. Okay, fine. The ship was built on Earth, and probably a lot of ships are built on Earth. And you might bring up the fact that they framed Mars last time with that Martian serial number, but have you ever considered that, they're, oh God, I lost where I was going with this. Maybe they were Earth framing Mars? I don't know.
You're an anti-vaxxer, Holden. That's what you are. You're a do-your-own-research, essential oil-sniffing anti-vaxxer.
Look, I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm just saying that, like, maybe they should tell us what's really in them. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, you don't know that there's not dead babies inside that vaccine.
Holden, I could tell you everything that's in that vaccine, and you would have no idea what the hell any of it was.
Sometimes Holden just don't understand.
If I weren't crippled with radiation treatments right now, I would slap you stupid. But your 8 mothers already beat me to it.
Your 8 mothers. So they find the ship that attacked Mao's ship. The pirate ship from the beginning, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're skipping like Holden loses his thyroid.
Yeah, they get radiation poisoning, and they get some pretty intensive medical care, but he's still got his sperm somewhere in a frozen chamber, so, you know.
Yeah, Holden's like, well, at least I got my sperm frozen, and Miller's like, well, at least I'm planning to die at the end of this.
Miller's like, God damn, I need to investigate where you have that sperm so I could go destroy it.
Yeah.
That's book 2. Holden sperm.
Hopefully it's on Venus. Holden sperm.
So yeah, they found the Mao ship, and I still don't know what happened. What was their plan here? They kidnapped Mao, and they're like, well, they don't have a brig, and they also have this virus thing that's kicking around, and they're kind of improvising. I don't know why they kidnapped Mao or her constituents. I don't know why they...
Constituents?
Yeah, I know. I couldn't think of a good... You know what? They are constituents now. She was elected by them, god damn it. She's their congressman.
I think what happened, and this is another... the authors know it doesn't make sense, so they say that the guys were confused and improvising, which is... a justification for why the decisions are weird, but it's fine.
Like
actually,
how Neja, his battle tactic of falling back didn't make sense, so we're winning the war. Oh, sorry, wrong.
This isn't that bad. So they hijack a ship, and we don't really know what their orders were. We just know that they hijacked Julie Mao's ship, and they had the
proto-molecule is what it's called. They had that on board.
Yeah, it seems like they were planning to unleash the proto-molecule on the crew. We don't know why. We assume they were ordered to do that. So they order the crew to strip. And we find out that Julie Mao was previously the victim of some kind of assault. Unclear if it was sexual in nature, but basically after that she started taking jiu-jitsu lessons, and she vowed
she has a reason for why she's a fighting badass.
Yeah, that's never going to happen to her again. So when they order that, she just starts fighting. She goes nuts, and the captors kind of decide like, okay, we kind of need them to cooperate. So this one, there's nowhere to put her, so they throw her in a locker and they lock it.
And they say, if you make any noise, we will kill you. And that's how Julie ends up there at the beginning of the book.
Yeah, and so then they do the experiments on the crew, whatever they're going to do, and then they take off.
No, they don't. I'm pretty sure they all get infected. Because they're on the stealth ship right now. They were brought over from Julie's ship to here.
Ah. So then, yeah, I guess it just gets out and infects everybody?
Yeah, I guess their thing was like, okay, we're being instructed to infect them.
They do say that. He does say that there's a breach. So I guess maybe like the crew decided to fight back after they were infected or something.
The crew decided to fight back first, which failed, but then there's like a huge security lapse on the camera, and like 96 hours or whatever, a guy walks out looking all zombie-like and vomits on one of the pirates.
Yeah. So somehow the molecule got out. Maybe the molecule hacked a system or something. We don't know. Because the molecule does eventually take over the drive. It seems like they didn't know what the molecule would do.
They did not know what the molecule would do, which is a problem that we will run into in a moment, actually.
Yeah. But they have on board a safe that contains, we assume, and because no one ever contradicts this assumption, it just goes on, that there's a safe containing the molecule and research notes, probably. We don't know. We can't open it.
Oh, yeah, that was on this ship. Yeah, okay. So, I guess they wanted to infect Julie's crew, but they didn't send a proper ship with, like, containment or something, or maybe they didn't, but maybe it wouldn't have mattered anyway, and everyone gets infected, except for Julie initially, but then Julie also gets infected, and she abandons this ship somewhere and writes it down in her diary so that Miller and Holden can find this place. And then they find that this is by Protogen, helmed by Mr. Dresden, and the proto-molecule came from like a planetesimal ordering Saturn, but it's really not a moon. It's like space alien object. And they track down where the transmission is going. Also, I think this is where Havelock comes back in, because he tells Miller, oh yeah, they do have an off-the-books station over there, buddy.
Well, yeah, because Havelock got a job with Protogen,
Yes.
which is the company that is doing this research.
Yeah, and Miller's like, thanks for telling me your company's, like, Black Ops site. Feel like you're probably going to be taken out back and shot, but...
Well, we're both detectives, so we know how to get away with this, but also Havelock's never seen again, so who knows.
And then they talk with ex-Colonel Frederick Johnson. And they coordinate, how are we going to take this station out? Also, Earth is now involved in the war, and they're destroying Martian ships in orbit over Mars. So, but let's not think about the fact that Holden is causing World War II, but worse, and escalating.
Holden takes no
more.
responsibility for this. That's not Holden's fault. They were doing that before he got there. If they weren't planning to have a war, they wouldn't have warships now, would they? That's not my fault. I didn't start it.
Yeah, well, I love that Miller's like, okay, so it's not your powder keg, it's just your match. All right, cool. Holden,
Yeah, it is
Holden,
cool.
Come with me into this airlock, Holden. All right, cool. Shut
Only
the door.
if you tell me exactly what you're going to do for like the rest of your life. I need to know everything. You know what? You know what, Miller? You're the dick. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I know. I shot that guy that one time.
Yeah.
You know that guy that was threatening bodily harm to you and your crew, and who would have gotten away with killing them? You know that your guy pulled out his gun when he was threatened with someone else? Like he's like, I've got a bigger gun, and he pulled
You know the
his
weird
gun out.
logic. The weird logic of this is like,
And you never get pissed at Amos?
no, the weird logic is like you had a bunch of guns, like you were gonna shoot somebody, like what you're kind of accusing Earth of doing right now, but like nobody had given you a reason to shoot the guns yet. But then when they gave you a reason, because you had the guns, you were able to kill a bunch of people. Whose fault was that?
It would have been the fault of those people he shot, because they didn't give him all the information he needed to make a decision. If she would have just said, hey, I'm here to find the person that you're looking for, me and my group of armed thugs that are hiding in that stairwell over there, we need you to take us to her so that we can then do some really bad things that will probably end in the death of everyone on this station. Would you kindly come with us? Holden would have been like, oh, well, I appreciate that you told me all this. Here's my backstory. Let me tell you about all my crew so you know that we're real people. And no, I'm not going to do that.
Holden, I fell asleep halfway through that. I'm not going to lie to you.
So let's go to Toth Station, Ben.
To what?
Is it Toth Station?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I thought you were like saying Toshi Station, like
No.
some Star Wars bullshit.
No. So they got this plan. All right. Holden, you and your crew, except for Miller, who is now part of your crew, you and your crew are going to fly in on your gunship. It's all we have. And we're pretty sure there are some stealth ships around the station. You're going to blow them both up. I shouldn't say both, because I don't know that there are two there, but there are two there. And then...
Well, before we do this, we should probably tell them we're on our way and send them the dossier of every man, woman, and child we have ever met so that they know.
You're right. They actually lie about it. They disguise what they are. They shouldn't have done that, Ben. But yeah, they disguise what they are. And then behind them comes Miller and Fred's crew on an unarmed cargo freighter that they just gotta hope doesn't get blown up by those ships. And it doesn't. Holden.
Well, it's not going to get blown up by those ships because you're going to murder those ships in cold blood.
It's not in cold blood. They were, it wasn't me who fired the missiles. It was my crew. Checkmate.
Mm-hmm.
Holden really doesn't think about that. Miller shot that guy. But, like...
Teams up with a terrorist organization to plan an attack on a station that he's pretty sure is monitoring what's going on Eros.
Yeah.
But if you shoot a man who's actively attacking you, that's wrong. If you shoot a man who just killed hundreds of innocent people, that's wrong.
Yes.
But if you plan an attack with a terrorist organization and you do it from the comfortable distance of your spaceship, that's okay.
Well, now you're figuring it out. Yes, exactly. I'm glad that we're having this discussion. Now you know where my morals are. Alright, so our ship got beat up pretty badly, but we managed to cold-bloodedly murder those two people. We're going to land on the station and follow you guys in, but you're all clear to storm the station and kill everyone in it if necessary.
Can you send me a dossier with all of their faces? And before I land, I'm going to have to go to the wreckage of those other ships and download the crew listings.
It's okay that we killed them because they were complacent in killing my crew. Lawful good, bitch. So yeah, they storm the station. They kill all the scientists because the scientists are going crazy and trying to stop them. They're killing the security detail. The security detail's using non-lethals. Very strange, but, you know, whatever. And finally, they find Mr. Dresden. Ben, I know you love this section, so do you want to take point or you want me to set the stage?
Do you want to do a skit?
Yeah, do you want to do a skit? I mean, we can do a skit. Who do you want to be, though?
I guess I'd be Dresden.
So, Holden, Miller, Fred Johnson, and a bunch of Fred's crew are now in the control room with Mr. Dresden. Ben/Mr. Dresden. How could you have done this to Eero Station?
Well, you know what the protomolecule does, right?
We have no idea what the protomolecule does.
I think they actually did at this point.
Oh, okay. It breaks down people into zombies, and then it retools what they are.
Yeah, it's some kind of alien thing that does some kind of something. It was obviously designed to hijack any self-replicating molecule, not just DNA. So it's just looking for life in whatever form it finds it, and then it reshapes it into whatever it's programmed to reshape it into. But imagine if we could figure out how to alter that programming. We could create humans who are perfectly suited to any environment. Imagine belters who could survive in the vacuum of space. Imagine, I don't know, people who could like photosynthesize. Imagine like,
oh my god,
you got a real big schlong.
He's making a lot of great points, guys. I actually find myself starting to agree with his position on
we
this.
could create humans that could just go to sleep for 100 years and wake up on a generation ship. And if there's no planet, they just turn around and go back. We could do anything. This is humanity's key to the universe. And think about this, guy. There are fucking aliens. Like take a moment to really let that sink in.
This Dresden guy has a point.
This is an alien molecule designed by aliens that are just inconceivably far ahead of us technologically. And they designed this 2 billion years ago. If they're still out there, we're so fucked. We need this. We need to do this to fight them, to just stand on our own 2 feet against aliens. And think about this. Think about this, guys. I already did it. Like, you can't bring them back. You can't bring those people on Eros back.
Oh, that's true.
It's a done deal.
No shit. You're right.
If you shut me down, if you wipe out the notes and the research on this station, they died for nothing. And in fact, it would then be you that was the jerk.
Okay, so it looks like I got a little of that proto-molecule on me, and it's growing like a frontal lobe, and oh my god, hey, Mr. Dresden, are you saying that you're in a unique position to understand how this works, and like, you're not just doing horrific, horrible, awful, evil shit on Arrow Station that you don't understand and just kind of like figuring it out as you go. Like, you know how to like begin the process of scientifically reworking this to make us superhumans, right? You're not just like releasing a virus on people to see what happens, right? Right, Mr. Dresden, right?
Okay, well, the thing about that is, I am actually just kind of rubbing goo on people to see what happens.
and then Miller shoots him, and then Holden loses that lobe in his brain and goes, why did you do that? He needed to stand on trial.
He was never going to stand trial.
But,
he was going to get away with it.
But we had him.
He was going to convince you and Fred to use it.
I mean, he was convincing me to do that because in the book he actually didn't say that he was just kind of rubbing goo on things to see what happens. He was convincing me that he had some sort of knowledge on this that was important.
No, he wasn't. Let's go to the text.
Oh my god. I didn't come here to read.
Go into the text. Okay, here's the text. We're going to watch it work, see what it intends to do, how it goes about doing it, and hopefully learn to change that program in the process. You could do that with a vat of bacteria, Holden said. I'm not interested in remaking a vat of bacteria.
You could do that with one person in isolation first.
Yeah, see, Dresden was so convincing that you thought he had any idea how it worked. But the actual text of the book implies that he has never done any kind of animal trial, not even in a culture.
I was not convinced that he knew how it worked. I just thought he withheld the information that he had no clue from them. But he, in fact, admits to them, I'm just kind of rubbing goo on people to see what works. I built a dimensional door, and I don't know what it's doing, but if I keep opening it, something will happen.
He could have hollowed out an asteroid. And I want everybody to imagine this, because it's going to be terrible. He could have hollowed out an asteroid, right? Because they do that. And he could have just filled it to the brim with hamsters, and then just put goo on.
Hamtaro.
When we work together, it's much better. He was my best friend, and then I rubbed a bunch of goo on him, and now he's some kind of, I don't know, maybe some kind of god. Who knows? I don't know, but we're going to find out. But no, because, like, I wanted to skip the animal trials, because, let's be real, I don't have a bunch of hamsters right now.
And how could I afford that with my corporate account?
I could, but it would take time to ship them. And I got a bunch of humans right here.
And we did just blow up a freighter that shipped ice. We might get a little trigger happy and just blow up the hamster freighter. Yeah, you're right. And there are people right here on this asteroid.
Yeah, just
we've
useless
already
people.
rigged it for sound and video, so like
they're not going to need that ice if they're covered in this goo, I think.
Yeah, and there's the problem. Because Holden is like, he's actually like, he's starting to make a good point. And Fred even seems to be thinking like, you're making a good point. And it's like, yes, this would be a good point. If you had any idea what you were doing, it would be nice to evolve humanity.
I might have been too convincing, because I do think it makes sense. Like, essentially what they compare him in the book to Mengele. And Mengele,
the thing that does not make sense is that they get all upset. Oh my god, Miller, you killed this man. It's like, yeah, this guy is a fucking monster, and anyone could do his job, apparently.
Literally. Like, so here's the thing. They compare him in the book directly to Mengele. And I think that's a good comparison, because a lot of what Mengele did was just pointlessly cruel.
Was he the guy who injected dye into the iris to see if it could change the color of the eye? He did all sorts of, like...
I remember he did a bunch of twin studies. Like, he would sew people together and see how long it took before the gangrene killed them. And most of it had no scientific or medical value, but some of it did. And that was like the thing with a lot of Nazi experiments on humans, was they were mostly just pointlessly cruel. But it was kind of advancing science at a breakneck pace because they just kind of threw out all those ethical roadblocks that slow you down. They didn't have to go through any animal studies to see if what they were doing even approached reasonability. They just could just start with people. And then that does speed up research to an extent. And we took it and we used it. And we did the same thing with the Japanese. And now that's what's going on here is there would eventually have to be a human trial of the goo, but we skipped to that. And now we've got this huge sample size, and the data he's collecting could possibly be used to do what he's saying. Now, he did the Silicon Valley tech bro thing where he promised how he was going to change the world and then yada-yada'd his way into a bunch of investor capital. And now he's got to figure out how to change the world. And maybe he will, maybe he won't. For every Theranos, there's a Google. That's not true. For every 100 Theranoses, there's a Google. But I was convinced. Like, I'm probably where Fred is. You've got your Holden and you've got your Fred. Holden is like, how could you fucking kill that guy, you murderer? You are out of, I am unfriending you on Facebook.
You're off the crew.
Then there's Fred, who's like, I wish you hadn't done that, but I understand why you did. We're probably going to need that research at some point, though. Like, Fred's thinking of the practicalities.
And also, like, you're a liability now, Miller, just because you killed a guy who kind of is buddy-buddy with a lot of upper-class people on Earth.
Yeah, Fred's thinking of the practicalities.
Yeah.
And the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
And I agree that, yes, we need we need to figure out how to survive out in space, and I just feel like Mr. Dresden, though, is, like, not the guy to do it.
Yeah, you can take Mengele's research, but you leave Mengele behind. And I think the problem, though, is with the Dresden thing, because the other comparison could be Werner von Braun, where for a long time, everybody at NASA was kind of a Nazi. And they took all those Nazi rocket scientists and brought them over, and they just wiped the record of all the, internment camp slave labor they used, all the people they worked to death to build the V2 rocket. And, America goes to the moon. There is that side of it.
We did it ahead of the Soviets, and that's what mattered.
By any means necessary. We did it ahead of the Soviets. And that's all that mattered. But there is a point to that, though, where that is kind of all that history remembers. Like, as much as...
But here's the thing, Ben. Here's the thing. This is alien tech. Number one.
Oh, okay.
And this guy doesn't understand that. And wouldn't it be really fucking embarrassing if, this alien tech could outthink you and, become sentient and, I don't know, try to ram an asteroid into Earth?
At the first sign it's doing that, I'm going to blow it up.
He didn't have anything on it that would blow it up, though.
Oh shit, I forgot.
Yes. See, there's no failsafe here. He didn't, build a container around it.
People would have noticed me doing that, though, so I couldn't do that.
So...
I had a bunch of warships filled with nukes. Not sure where those went.
Oops. So, yeah, that got a little bit of egg on his face because...
Got a little bit of egg on his face.
And brain matter. So yeah, Miller shoots him and
which is objectively the right call.
We're unfriended. We're no longer friends. I can't believe you killed a man in cold blood. He didn't do anything to provoke that other than, the wholesale slaughter of hundreds of thousands of innocents, and also all the scientists here had brain surgery to remove their empathy, I guess. So,
that was dumb. I am going to go ahead and say,
they're turned into sociopaths.
Yeah, where Holden's like, how could you convince people to do this? And it's like, I don't know, Holden, have you ever looked at, any aspect of human history where,
yeah, exactly.
people do monstrous things because they're just following orders?
And they're like, no, we modified them with brain surgery. And I was like, uh-huh? You don't need to do that.
Was this a real experiment in psychology?
The Milgram's
the one
experiment?
Where they order people to keep shocking. Yeah.
Yes, that was a real thing. Yes. The shocks were not real, but yes.
Yeah. So human psychology is not like that morally strong, Holden. Like, you could find
you
people
could be like,
to do
hey,
this.
Hey, you need to give the shock. He failed to say the word. I know that there's a skull and crossbones on that level of shock, but you need to administer the shock, please. So carry on. Administer the shock.
Yeah, like it can be cartoonishly fake and stupid, and they'll genuinely feel bad about doing that, but they'll be like, this is on you, buddy.
Yeah, Mr. Dresden could come in and be like, I'm going to give you money to observe this proto-molecule shit. We're gonna destroy this entire like asteroid. I wanted to say base, but it's not a base.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna watch it, and I'm ordering you to watch it.
Yeah, and there's a carrot and a stick here, man. You do it, I give you $1 million. You don't do it, I murder you and your family.
Yeah, exactly. I'll push you out the airlock.
So you're gonna do it, right? Yeah, and they would. And they just would.
Yeah. They don't need to be sociopaths.
That's even assuming they gave a shit. And he had to use some kind of extortion. I think most people would just do it for the fun of it.
Oh, you want me to dump black goo zombies on these people? I got nothing else this weekend.
The authors of this, if you really think people would have a problem with that, like scientists would have a problem with that black goo experiment on people, do not ever look into the history of anything the Department of Defense has built. Those guys do it just because it's an interesting problem to solve. And the problem is, how do I wipe out all of a sovereign nation?
So yeah, Naomi throws herself on Holden's dick like she failed her daimyo.
Oh, you're using mine.
Yeah, I am.
She throws herself on Holden's dick like it's a sword and she failed her daimyo.
So earlier in the book, while they're just fucking around at Fred's house, Holden is like, I love you, Naomi. Don't think about Addie or Aid or whatever her name is. We don't even care about her. I've always loved you. And like, when I was dying from that radiation,
I was just thinking I might never see Naomi again.
Yeah. And then Naomi and him have been a little awkward. And then and now Naomi's like, well, I'm the girl. I'm the love interest. We're heading into the home stretch. Get your dick out. And he's like, but I thought you weren't into this. She's like, no, I just didn't want you to, like, tell me it was love if you just wanted to get your dick wet. I just want to be clear. Are we fucking or are we getting in a relationship? It doesn't really matter because I'm throwing myself on your dick.
It is this blunt.
Oh, by the way, I just want to let you know, I'm in this until you say we're done, and I froze some eggs. I've thought ahead. Like, if this is gonna be a serious thing, you just gotta tell me how serious. Pull out your fucking dick. Get those pants down, sir. Let's go.
Oh god. Yeah, the Naomi Holden hookup was like so infuriating because Holden literally does just like her because she's the only woman he knows, and that happens. You know, if you're in a closed space with a certain number of people, like. It's like how when you're in high school and you inevitably like have a crush on somebody or you want to date somebody in your high school, even though everyone in your high school is garbage, but it's just like, that's who's alive. And yeah, that's kind of what happens with Holden and Naomi. Yeah, so they get together. So that's the thing. And then Amos guesses it immediately, and that's funny. We all laugh.
And they all high five.
Yeah, they all high five, and they're all really cool with it, and it's great because they're all just one big family. They're all hanging out and they're all having fun and they're all like laughing, having a good time, slapping each other on the back about how those two crazy kids finally got together. Miller's just standing outside with one hand on the window in the rain, takes his hat off and just lets the rain drip down his face.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
He's like, well, guess I'll die.
That is what happens. And he's like, hey, Frederick Johnson.
He starts sleeping on the couch of the only person he knows who is like a teenage, like teenage opiate
terrorist
soldier. who talks nothing but incomprehensible slang.
This is and Miller rightfully concludes, time to die. I'm done.
Yeah, Miller's just like, well, I have absolutely nothing to live for. There's no way this gets better.
Yeah. Being on Holden's crew is actually the highlight of my day, and that's like, wow. How low can you go?
I mean, he's dying slowly of radiation poisoning anyway because he doesn't have any more free meds from the ship computer, which somebody's got to be restocking that.
Oh, dear, that's right. Holden basically condemned that man to death by radiation poisoning. I think Miller had a stock of meds.
And he could get more. I mean, it's not like the ship is the only one that could formulate the drug, but he goes to talk to Fred. And he's like, Fred, I need a job. And Fred's like, well, you're kind of a giant fuck up, and you kind of really screwed me there with that Dresden thing. And in fact, when they come looking for you, when, not if, I am going to turn you over to them. And he's like, yeah, but I need a job in the meantime. Fred's like, wow, that's sad as fuck, dog. I guess I'll take pity on you.
Mad respect.
So, why don't you be the only person on my war council? What would you do next? He's like, well, if I were you.
That is what happens. He's like, well, you're the only one who's legally able to drink alcohol, so I guess you've got to be it.
If I were you, I would blow up Eros. And he's like, okay, bold. Not what I expected you to say. Why? How am I going to blow up Eros? Eros is a real big thing. He's like, well, you throw it into the sun. The sun, you say? I don't know. I mean, the sun's pretty far away. How are we going to accelerate something with the mass of Eros onto a collision course towards the sun?
And as they say this, their eyes and their faces both drift outside to the giant Mormon ship being built. They're like, how are we going to...
Yeah, so the Mormons have commissioned Tycho Station, which is the base, to build a generation ship that will take them to another star so the Mormons can finally be away from the rest of us. Oh no. And
man.
It takes him all of about 5 seconds to decide that yes, he is going to take this ship that costs more money than God himself could have and throw it face first into Eros to knock it onto a collision course with the sun. But wait, how are we going to make sure nobody lands on it to get a sample while it's on its way to the sun? And that's where Holden comes in.
No, it's not.
That's where Holden.
Well, Holden's going to hold people off, but they're going to land some ships there and plant some bombs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Holden comes back in to be like, "This is the plan, Holden. We're gonna irradiate the surface of this station with bombs, and then we're gonna slam the Mormon ship into it."
All I can think about as Holden is, what the hell is Miller doing here? Did you know I threw him off my crew?
I do not give him a reference. You cannot call me about his former work history. And he's like, yeah. Holden's like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And then Fred is like, okay, but I'm going to need you to leave that proto molecule behind. And Holden's like, no can do, Fred.
Doesn't he want to transmit everything that happened on Eros to everyone? And Miller's like, yeah, don't do that, you fucking dumb idiot.
Yeah, well, and the other thing, too, is, like, Miller tries to talk to the other crew members to like, gauge the vibe, and they're all like, yeah, we fucking hate you, too. And it's like, and then later, after it's way too late, after they've driven Miller to, like, I'm not saying it's Naomi's fault, but I'm just saying, like,
it is her
after
fault.
It's way too late for any of this to make a difference, she's like, you know, Miller was actually kind of right about that. And
yeah, you know, Miller should have shot that guy. Like, you can't believe that was in cold blood. Yeah, but, like, don't be a dumb idiot.
Like, Holden is actually so dumb. And I'm serious. And I don't care if the writers themselves hear this and they genuinely thought Holden was making a good argument. What Holden is saying is so dumb, I would not even entertain the conversation with him about it. If I saw him try to broadcast that stuff, I actually would shoot him in the head. Like, I'm dead serious. If I were on a ship and I saw somebody broadcasting the information that I knew was going to start World War III, I'd actually just shoot them in the head. I would do what Miller did every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I would shoot Holden every time. And I want to. I would enjoy it. I would take such pleasure in shooting Holden that I would hang on to that memory. And I would just savor every moment of it. I'd try to remember like what the room smelled like and where the sun
and when
was
the
on my face.
proto-molecule gets on you, you'll hijack the proto-molecule to reenact it over and over.
Yeah. I would take such an almost sexual thrill in how I murdered Holden. God, I want him to die so very much that it is going to be a problem if I have to read a book that is only Holden.
Oh, I think that it's not only Holden. I think there are other viewpoints, but Holden is a constant.
Holden and his little crew of sock puppets, they're hands down the worst part of this book, and I do not think the authors know that.
I agree that they knocked a star off of the book for me. And I am concerned, as you are, that this is not going to get better. This is
like when Holden is in that room thinking, I can't believe Miller's here, that psychopath. Like, it's frustrating that he's not a real person and therefore cannot be choked. I wish he existed as a thinking, feeling being for the sole purpose that he might feel pain. Anyway, continue the summary.
All right, so that's the plan. So Miller is basically going to carry the team from here on out, as he's, been doing. They plant the bombs, and the child terrorists are like, hey, man, we got to go. But he says it in incomprehensible gibberish, and Miller's like, nah, man. Nah, brah. This is my stop. I'm just going to sit on this asteroid while it rams into the sun.
Love your attempt at slang. Nah, brah.
So...
Nah, brah, I flap what you spitting.
So they're like, all right, cool, man, later. Pew, pew. And then there's a science vessel that's going to get the goo. And Holden's like, hey, don't get the goo. We're going to blow you up if you do. And then, as a result of that, Naomi's like, hey, yeah, that science vessel broadcasts to everyone in the sector to get help, and now a warship is coming here. Good job.
And Holden's like, well, they did the right thing. I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah, Holden, you don't have to destroy the ship. You could just fire a torpedo at its comm system and disable it. You don't have to blow it up, right? Like, at the beginning, the Canterbury, that's the ice freighter, they thought they were just going to be hit by a torpedo and knocked out and then boarded. So, the technology to do that exists. You could do that. You open fire right now, but he doesn't. And then Miller, the Mormon ship, it's going to save the day. Oh, wait, no, never mind. The asteroid just, moves.
No. So Miller is sitting there, and he's thinking to himself, I'm going to paint you guys a picture. Miller stays on the asteroid. He's going to blow up with it. He's just going to go down with his Julie Mao. And he's the only one there. And in fact, the guy's like, hey, we're coming to pick you up. And he's like, no, you don't gotta. And he's bracing himself to have to argue with him. And the guy's like, okay, see ya. And Miller's like, well, that hurt. That was one more nail in the coffin there. He's like, I'm just going to sit here and wait for death. It's actually kind of relieving at the end, just here in the vacuum, looking out at the stars. See the Mormon ship. It's no larger than a star right now. This is actually really peaceful. I'm looking forward to it. It's finally going to be over. I'm finally going to be done.
Don't you fucking touch me!
Well, that's a weird thing for the asteroid to say. And then the ship, it's really big now. It's going to hit us. And then, it's going past us. Well, that ain't right.
You're sprinting to the end. So Miller has a wheelbarrow and a nuke, and he's gonna go find the control center of this asteroid and blow it up, because the asteroid is flying towards Earth. It's flying towards Earth super fast and doing it in a way where there's no change in the gravity. Miller does not register that they're going at like 15 Gs. So they turn on the transponders of those ships that I guess are attached. The terrorist ships, right? So the Earth can unleash the entire nuclear arsenal. But then Miller contacts Holden, who's in a Mexican standoff right now with another ship. And Holden and Miller is like, "Hey, all those nukes that are coming at us, this asteroid's Julie. Julie's just gonna dodge all of them and ram into the Earth. Like, you gotta hold them off. Buy me some time, man. Buy me some time. I'm so weak in radiation sick."
Oh, I got this. So Miller's like, Holden, I need you to convince the OPA to send all of Earth's nukes somewhere else for a minute while I talk to my dead girlfriend that I never met, who is filled with alien goo right now, to convince her to go somewhere other than Earth, which I know I can do. And I'm sitting there reading the book thinking, well, Miller, I think you finally cracked. There is no way in hell anyone is ever going to do that.
I respect you, Miller. You are a smart genius. I don't always disagree, or I don't always agree with your methods, damn it. But I trust you. Guy who I just met like 2 weeks ago.
Can I tell you honestly, I read that part where Holden's like, yeah, we're totally doing this. And I was like, I actually put the book down and went to bed. I was pages from the end of the book, and I was like, I can't right now with this guy. I can't read another page of Holden doing anything. I hate him so goddamn much. He's so cringy and stupid. I've never hated any living person the way I hate Holden. There are people in this world, Nate, who have done me terrible wrongs.
Did you dirty?
And I do not hate them nearly as much as I hate Holden. He is the literal worst. We joked about Rin. This is so much worse. This is so much worse than Rin.
Oh God.
It is a testament to how awesome this world building is that I gave this book 4 stars. Because I hate Holden so goddamn much.
So yeah, Miller successfully finds Julie and convinces her, hey, instead of crashing into Earth, you're the big brain boss now. Crash into Venus instead. And it does. And in the aftermath, Holden is like, but I get to keep my ship, right, Fred? Right, Fred? Please tell them to keep my ship. I know you're going into a peace negotiation to stop World War fucking 3, like Solar System War 1, whatever you want to call this, where Earth and Mars are going to blow each other to shit and all of humanity is going to die. But, like, can I keep my ship, please? The end.
So, before Holden came in, Fred's secretary was like, Holden's here to see you. And he's like, do I have to? I'm not making this up. And she's like, yeah, you probably should, because he has a history of just crying to the teacher whenever he gets mad.
You probably should see him, because otherwise he's going to broadcast something really stupid, and yeah.
Yeah, so that's the end of the first book of The Expanse. And despite everything I said, I really liked it. I really like the setting. I like the world they built. I liked Miller. I liked most everything to do with Miller. I'm very interested to find out what the alien goo does. I really want to know where the plot of the book is going. And I just wish to God there were different characters, but I know there aren't.
Yeah, I wish that this were like, all right, now this thing happened, let's jump forward like a decade or something, and let's start a new campaign, get some new characters. So, good book, with one glaring exception. 4 out of 5.
Who's worse, Holden or Wade from Ready Player One? Is that his name?
I
think Wade, because he's more aware of what he's doing.
I was gonna say Wade's. Man, I don't know.
I think Wade's worse.
Low bar.
Yeah, the bar is so low. It's buried. It's a buried cable underneath the ground. All you have to do is not dig it up and smack it. But they're gonna.
Ben, Twitter us and whatever.
Yeah, you can reach out to us on Twitter at WABpod. You can check us out on Instagram, Words About Books Podcast. We stream every Monday on Twitch at twitch.tv/wordsaboutbooks. There's a blog, blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja, and you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/WABpod.
Now we need to unfuse. So I'm going to put my leg over here. You're going to put your leg over there. We're going to pull in separate directions. We're going to turn back and bend. Obviously, I have to be on the bottom because if I'm on top, I'm going to be hitting the ceiling a lot because of how I'm like 8 feet tall. So,
I thought you meant the force of his thrust just knocks her in.
Yeah.
She felt 3 G's of thrust.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm dying.